to the Pulse. I'm SF, and I'm excited about the possibility that this week's episode might just change your career. We answer the question, why should we hire you? Now, this question in itself isn't scary, but having the answer on the spot could be. So today we're going to show you how to think about that question and prepare a strong response. So the question we are looking at today is, why should we hire you? And I think with all of these questions that we're doing in this series, the most important question for us to ask is really, what are they really asking? What is your employer or your potential employer actually asking? Because a lot of these questions, like what are your greatest weaknesses, we talked about last week, a lot of those questions can be misleading, especially, with the ever-changing language of things. So, why should we hire you is a question that you'll get in every interview, just about. If you don't, count yourself lucky. Have you come across this question at all, Kayla?
When I first started interviewing, I did a lot and I was very bad at answering it. The couple of jobs that I actually got, I never got this question, but I think that was because I was recommended by somebody who already worked there. So they were not very typical types of interviews.
It's lucky.
Yes.
It's very lucky. So, when you have had this question, why should we hire you? What are the kinds of things that you would include in that, like experience, passion? Like what things would you throw out there? Would you just use sort of bullet points, or would you explain a little bit about, your drive or motivation for that job?
Well, now that I've actually had a couple of jobs, it's much easier to answer because I would tell them things like I'm a hard worker, I'm really organized, and like at one of my past jobs, I gained responsibility a lot quicker than some of my coworkers who were there before me due to the fact that I put in a lot more effort and things like that, where it's like these were my strengths in my past jobs that I've had
Hmm.
um, that I can bring to my new job.
Yeah. So, like, the things that would make you stand out were the things that brought you a lot of pleasure in your previous job, things you enjoyed, that you were successful at. Those really framed your perspective for the next job interview. I have never known how to answer this question, why should we hire you? I've had a couple of really bad responses I regret to this day. Um, One of my answers was, well, because I'm the best and I wouldn't have applied for this job if I didn't think I could get it. Terrible. I did not get that job. When I was doing some research on this, and we were talking last week, some of the things that I came across were things like, I have a perfect combination of experience and skills that would make me an outstanding candidate. Right, like some of those keywords, skills, experiences, outstanding candidate, those are all keywords that employers are looking to hear. So you want to talk about how your strengths, experiences, and skills make you the best candidate, but then you also want to bring in, and this is something that I talk to everybody about when we're talking about jobs and interviews, is teamwork. Even if it's a job that, is not a team-based job, saying things like, for example, if I was going to an interview at Nike, I would talk about how it would be lovely to be a part of the Nike team. Because then you're putting everyone on the same amount of respect before you even walk into the job. It kind of just it displays a certain amount of integrity.
I like that.
Um, so okay, so you haven't had this question asked too many times. When you have, was it kind of just like, oh, I'll just answer this, or did you kind of freeze, or how did that go?
Um, it's been a very long time, but I think I froze for a minute and I had to really think. And a couple of times I definitely came back with I'm not sure because this would be my first job.
Hmm.
and I don't think they liked that answer.
It's fair that that would be difficult.
Yeah, because like other than like those ones that I interviewed, I'd always worked as a background actor,
Hmm.
which a lot of those skills don't really translate into other jobs, I think, other than maybe lots of patience.
That does it for this week's episode of The Pulse. Tune in next week when we discuss the answers to other tough questions and how to find out what are they really asking. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.